Guli swakwego. Sont Yowani gets wagik sklay waget ni wagidalot. Onyota'aka ni wonka hunjoda. Kaliwayan dagu on dunga inga wani slate jit ni wani salio kalit wagatanu ni jit wagada jatwe. Zugona lunkwa sunkwa intezont ne yunkinola o hunjade ne swakwego. Ungwe hui ne swakwego ga inga wani slate. I also did a land acknowledgement. So I said, Swakwego ne yunkinola o hunjade. So what I had said is that I'm grateful for the traditional people or the Coast Salish people on their unceded territories that I'm a guest on. So I gave honor and respect to them. I also said that today is a good day, again, because all of you are here. You know, I said, Ezogonalunkwa sunkwa intezone yonkinola hunjade. Ezogonalunkwa means that all of you are a medicine to me. And so that's what I'm here to share with you. I'm here to share about the medicine wheel. That's what we have right there. Before I wanted to get into that, I wanted to do an acknowledgement of somebody who, without their hard work, without their effort, I wouldn't have the opportunity that I have here today. And so I wanted to acknowledge, and if they're willing, I'd like to invite you, Darylina Powderface, to come up. So this is an impromptu thing for her. So, hi everyone. I'm going to jump right into it. Darylina, I wanted to offer you some gifts.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Thank you.
from my heart to yours, you know, for the passion and the commitment that you have to our people, you know, through the arts, and to teach and to share with people and to bring them, you know, joy and comfort and to create space, you know. Without you and the work that you put into being a part of the team of the Arts Council of New Westminster, I wouldn't be here today. You know, you set that path with your hard work and your dedication for people like me, you know, to come in, to have opportunities. And so what I want to offer you is an eagle feather. So the eagle feather, if you're open to taking that. So before I give that to you, in my culture, what we do is when we offer an eagle feather or something of importance, we go 3 times. And then on the 4th time, you grab it. Okay. If you grab it, you're saying, yes, I accept it and I'll take responsibility of it. So I did it 3 times. Okay. Yeah. Also, from my nation, we have fabrics. We have fabrics and materials. We call them flags, prayer flags. And so I wanted to offer this to you to help you in your work. So there's the 4 colors. There's the 7 colors here and an 8th color for you for your prayers. So if you're wanting it, you can take that. And then I understand you're Haida. Are you Haida?
I am Nakota.
Nakota. I was wrong. Oh, I was wrong.
It's okay.
I don't know everything, okay? I tried.
You did your best.
I did my best. What I do remember, though, is she's an amazing person, and I wouldn't be here. Here I am just trying to cover my butt. So on behalf of the Arts Council of New Westminster and myself, we wanted to give you a blanket. And so
beautiful.
in my culture, in my Anishinaabe Moan culture, in that language, they say that when we carry our pipes, that when we go on our vision quests and our ceremonies by ourselves, that we always bring a blanket with us. When we're sitting there and we're praying with our pipes, our blanket is folded over us to keep us warm, to keep us sheltered, you know, so that we can focus on our prayers. And so that's what I wanted to get for you, was the blanket. You know, to keep you safe and secure and sheltered, you know. I can't give you any more gifts that can tell you how much that I care about the work that you've done, you know, especially for me and the other Indigenous people. And so that's what I wanted to acknowledge you for, you know, and I just want to encourage you, you know, to keep it up, you know. You're changing lives, you know. You may not even know it, but you are.
Thank you.
You know, okay.
Mish.
You know.
I
Thank you.
give you an air hug.
Air hug, air hug. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Alrighty. Wow. I just want to say that I appreciate all of you who are watching that. What I'm talking and sharing with you today isn't just something, it's more than just an object. What it talks about is the connections between creation, nature, animals, human beings, the four parts of ourselves, which is our mind, our emotions, our spirit, and our bodies. It talks about the four parts of our beings, our livelihoods too, from baby to child to adult to elder, being an older person. It also talks about the four different animals that are associated with that in each direction as well. But what you had just witnessed there between Darylina and I, is that medicine of connection. The medicine wheel talks about how we're all together. How we're all together in this world. The unity that we all have. Some people will say, well, how come you have the different races of people on there? And it's not about signaling or singling out a person's color of their skin. What it's identifying is the uniqueness and the beauty of their individuality, the gifts that they bring to the earth. And so that's what was honored with Darylina there. And so then you just witnessed the ceremony. That's how simple our ceremonies can be, is just honoring somebody. And so today I'm going to honor you with some lessons and some teachings that had been shared with me about our medicine wheel. There's also going to be another teammate of mine who will be monitoring the online chats. So at the end of our presentation here, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions, and I'll answer them as best as I can, to my ability. What else do we have? I think we're good. I think I'll jump right into it. Okay, so I'm going to be doing a medicine wheel. So in this medicine wheel, we have the four directions. The white will be representing the north. And in that direction, we have the white bear, a polar bear. In the east, which is the yellow, that yellow represents the sunrise when it rises up. That's a very important color. So when the sun rises in the east, that's the color of the eagle. So the eagle, and I need to also tell you is that the medicine wheel, what I'm sharing with you is how it was taught to me. Across our Turtle Island, the medicine wheel has different meanings and different teachings associated with it. So the stories and the lessons that I'm sharing with you now come from where I come from. To the color black here, it's my understanding that in some places in the prairies and in the plains that they don't use black, that they use a blue. So in this medicine wheel, we use the black where I come from. And so we'll get to that in a minute. The yellow is the eagle. The south is actually supposed to be the black, but on this one, it's a little different. This drum was given to me because where I come from, I was told that I'm backwards in the way that I do everything. And that's just the uniqueness that we identify, with my culture. So the red represents the west, and that represents the thunderbird. Where I come from, the thunders come from the west. And so that represents the thunderbird, but it also represents the buffalo comes from that area too. The black part here represents the south, and that is to represent the animal that is represented there is the mouse. The mouse is represented there, and it's a little tiny creature, but it's talking about the vigilance, vigilance that it has for its own safety and its own life, where it's always looking around and making sure that it's safe, that it's prepared, it has its shelter taken care of, its food. And so that's what that represents. The bear represents kindness, compassion, protection, gentleness. That's what that represents. The eagle, in my culture, says that it's one of the birds that flies the highest. And so in the morning, it says that's one of the times that we're supposed to give thanks. And so we wake up and we're supposed to say, thank you for this life, you know. In my culture, we use tobacco. And the tobacco is we burn that, and then the smoke that comes off, our prayers follow that smoke up. And it's the eagle that takes our prayers to the spirit world, or in my language, Galonyage, or Creator, or whoever or whatever it is you're praying to. It's the eagle that takes our prayers. The red, which is supposed to be in the west, the thunderbird brings the thunders where I come from, my homelands. It brings the thunders from the west. It's a very powerful creature. The buffalo is a medicine animal as well. You know, it's very similar to the thunderbird because it brings the thunders when they run together. The mouse, like I said, is in the south. Before I get into making a medicine wheel, the older people, it was an older woman who taught me. She said that whenever you're going to make anything, Tim, she says you always have to smudge. You always have to have some sweetgrass or some sage. So I have some white sage here. I'm not going to burn it because fire alarms are going to go off and then we won't have a show. I'm not going to burn it, but I would light this and I would cleanse myself with the smoke so that it will give me a clear mind. The sage is also a part of the medicine wheel. So there are 4 main parts of the medicine wheel, and each part has a meaning. So like I said, there's directions that are included. There are races of people. There are animals, 4 parts of our being. There's also the 4 sacred medicines, which is tobacco, sage, sweetgrass, and cedar. And they're all represented in there as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about that when I start making. What the older people told me is that I should always smudge first before I start any craft. If I can't smudge, I was told that I can always light a candle. So the reason why I light the candle is that they say that our ancestors are always around us. They're always around us, and what happens is that when we start crafting and we start making jewelry or cooking or doing ceremonies, that our ancestors, they're drawn to that. And so they want to come and help us. But what I was told is that because they're in a different place than us, that when they try and help us, that we could mess up. You know, we could accidentally cut something we're not supposed to cut. Or we could sew our clothes to it. That's happened to me. I was using a sewing machine and my shirt got caught in this. Anyways, that's a long story. It's embarrassing. But or they say that we could get tired or confused because they say that's what our ancestors are doing, that they're trying to help us. And so what the candle does is it attracts our ancestors so that they still come around and they're still around supporting, but they're not trying to get involved and help us. Just like how we're praying to them, in a way they're praying to us and supporting us in that way. And so when this is lit, we just put this off to the side. Doesn't burn anything. So that candle is our ancestor candle. And I'm going to jump right into it now. So what I like using is recycled materials. So the recycled material that I'm going to use today is a piece of Bristol board that was on a bulletin board at my work. And so I just grabbed it. They said I could have it. I grabbed it. And that's what I'm going to use. The medicine wheels come in different materials. This one's made from rawhide, the skin of a deer. This one's painted from the shell of a coconut. That's what this is. I made this. I recycled the material from a thrift shop. I found it. I thought it was pretty cool, so I just painted it, sanded it, painted it, and put that on there. So different materials. Some people use rawhide. Some people use leather. You can use basically any kind of material to make a medicine wheel. In this exercise or this showcase, I'm going to be making it from the paper. So I have a few steps that are already cut out, but I'm just going to show you. So my trusty bowl. What I like about art is it's individual and it's creative. Use your creativity. You know, your imagination is what will limit you in what it is that you can create. In my culture, it says that our most powerful gift and our most powerful weapon is our mind, because it says whatever you can think of, whatever you can imagine, you can create. So I just want to encourage all of you, to be mindful of what it is you're thinking about, because that's what you'll be creating. And so I wanted to say that just to let you know that that's also part of the medicine wheel. When we make things and we craft, we always have to be in a good way. We have to have a clear mind and focused and remember why we're doing these things. A medicine wheel is something that's used in our ceremonies. We use it in our sweat lodge ceremonies, in our pipe ceremonies. We use it in a whole lot of other ceremonies. Those two are the two that I use the medicine wheel a lot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my bowl upside down, and I'm going to use my trusty pen, and I'm just going to draw a circle. It's that simple. So what we're doing here is just drew a circle. So we can start to cut it out. Put that there. So like I said, at the end of the show here, there's going to be several minutes where you can have some questions answered. That's a great time for you to ask those questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the medicine wheel as well. There are some other objects and items that I have on a table here. You can ask about those. Everything that's showcased on the table here is associated with a teaching or lesson of the medicine wheel. So even the necklaces, the clothing that I'm wearing as well. So I'm cutting this. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I was talking about the medicine wheel and that it identifies the individuality of each person, each culture, each nation. In the lessons that have been shared with me, it says that we all have a gift and a responsibility, and so it's our uniqueness that's the medicine. I was told that whatever it is that you're naturally good at, it says that some people are good at running, some people are good at singing, writing, cooking, talking, dancing, whatever it is that you're naturally good at that brings you a genuine passion inside where you feel confident and proud when you're done with it. They say that's your gift. And so what I was told about our gifts is that you're the only one here alive in this world today with that gift. And that I was told that when we share our gifts with our community and the world, that our world becomes a much better and happier and healthier place because we're sharing our uniqueness and our gifts. We're sharing our beautiful, genuine self, with each other, that openness, that vulnerability that's a part of it. And that's what this medicine wheel talks about. It talks about the gift that we all possess, but it's really up to us, to share it. And so why I was saying that with you is that I'm not cutting this in a perfect circle. I'm doing that for a reason. And the reason why I'm doing that is because everyone's medicine wheel, everyone's gift, everyone's journey is different from each other. You may be walking on that same path with each other, beside each other, but your experiences, your outlook, and the way that you view the world and the way you accept the things that you experience is unique to yourself. And so if you look at the medicine wheel here, there's the lines between the black and the red and the yellow and the white and the black. Those lines there, I was told, represent the paths of the people. They go from this very center where each color touches right in the center. And it goes in, but it also comes out. So the medicine wheel is a teaching that talks about an outward view of the world to make it a better place for everyone and for yourself, but it also talks about making yourself a better person by focusing in on yourself and identifying the things that make you happy, identifying the things that you think you may need to work on. So for an example, I need to learn to cut better circles. Even though I said I wasn't going to, that was an excuse. I'm just not good at cutting. Just kidding. But anyways, what it is a better person. When you become a happier, healthier, better person, the people around you can feel your energy. They can feel it. They can see it. Some days, I'm sure when you feel really good, you can walk around and somebody will be like, oh, you know, you look really happy today, or, you know, there's something different about you, you know. It's probably because you're giving off a different kind of an energy. And that's how the medicine wheel can help you, you know. Like I said, in the east, the yellow direction there, when you're praying and you wake up and you give thanks to the Creator and the eagle takes our prayers and our words to them, that it's a time for you to check in with yourself. When you check in with yourself, you can ask yourself, how am I feeling today? You know, I'm sure the majority of us will say, oh, I'm tired today. You know, and then you can ask yourself, well, what do I need to do so that I'm not tired in the mornings? Maybe it's get more sleep. You know, maybe it's to not eat heavy food before you go to sleep. Maybe it's about drinking more water, you know. So those kinds of things, you know, focus on yourself. Give yourself purpose. Give yourself purpose. So now that the circle is cut out, what we're going to do is I'm going to draw lines to make like a cross in the middle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to measure it completely because I have another one set up. So what I want to do is just make a cross so that the lines intersect. So essentially, that's what this is. But what I'm going to do is, and I'm actually going to cut out some spaces and show you a more defined example of the paths that I was talking about between the black and the white, you know, and the colors that are on there. So how we do that is we just draw 2 more lines beside each other. So essentially, that's what it's going to look like. There's a path here and there's a path here. Also, to cut the holes out, you'll see in a minute, I'm just drawing out little sections here that I'm going to cut out. Again, it's not perfect, and that's okay, because it's our imperfections that make the world beautiful and perfect. Draw a little line. For you carpenters out there, you will know that you cut out, you scribble in these areas to let yourselves know that it's going to be cut out. I learned the hard way for a long time trying to do this. I never put that, and I would cut out the wrong pieces, and it would just look like a weird ninja star. Anyways, so that's what it is. Then now from this, we're going to go to this. So I already cut out 2 of them already, and I started another one here. So I'm going to finish that cut for you. So what I'm hoping for is somebody to ask me about the colors. I'm intentionally leaving out some information because I'm hoping that the people who are watching, you'll have the question. You'll be like, oh, well, what does the white mean? What does the red mean? What does the black mean? The yellow mean? And how does it associate or relate to the human beings on this planet? You know, that's a really good question. I'm hoping somebody will ask that. Okay, so we're getting closer there. So all the materials that I'm using here, like the scissors, even the bowl, the pens, I have glue and paint, all that stuff comes from the dollar store. I paid probably $8 for everything, $8, you know. Now if you don't have $8 to spend, that's okay. You don't need to spend money to make a medicine wheel. The colors that are on there are just representations. What really matters is your knowledge that you have behind it, your understanding of each direction and how it associates to you. You know? Also, the medicine wheel doesn't have to be these colors. It can be any different colors. It could be green, it could be pink, it could be yellow. You know, it could be all those different colors. Whatever suits you, because it's a reminder to yourself to be good to yourself, to remember about how to connect with other people in a good way. You know? And so what I do when let me squiggle this out for you. There you go. So this part here, how I start the cut, because the scissors are too thick, too broad, that it won't puncture, and I want to do it safely. So I grab a sharp knife. You could even use a pen too, if you wanted to, but what I'm going to do is just do a little hole, just like that. Just enough to get the tip of the scissor in. So the cool thing about art and creativity is everyone's creativity is different. Everybody's thinking is different. And for me, that's what makes it beautiful, is because it's your own uniqueness that you're able to express through the things that you make. And so I'm really happy for anybody who attempts to showcase their creativity, you know, and I encourage all of you to do it. I think it's important. Everyone has a beautiful gift, you know. One thing that I've heard a lot of the time in the last few years is that, Tim, your stuff is really nice. I can't make anything like that. You know, in a way, the people tell me that they're intimidated by some of the things that I can make. And I told them, I said, you know, I didn't always make nice things like these, you know. I'm not trying to boast or anything, but these are the comments that people have made. They've said my things are really nice. You know, the necklace that I made here, you know, the pouch that I made here, you know, the headdress, the buffalo skull that's there. You know, I was told that these things were really nice, and I was told that my artwork that you see now is the accumulation of the mistakes that I've made in previous art projects and art expressions. So just like a master, you know, a master, there's a quote I heard, I think it was on Facebook or something like that, Instagram. It says, a master has failed more times than an apprentice has tried, you know. So you have to learn just to be okay with your failing. You know, just be okay with that. Because it's the journey, not necessarily the outcome, you know, of the art project that makes it beautiful, you know. For me, art is very therapeutic. Crafting and creating is therapeutic for me. Okay, so, ta-da, it's done. So, this is the medicine wheel. So this is how it's going to be now. So you may see that I have the medicine wheel with the white facing up, the yellow and all this. That's okay. Sometimes you'll see medicine wheels like this. Sometimes you'll see them like this. In this case, I'm going to be keeping the medicine wheel like this. I'm not going to go like that. It's going to be like this. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to paint this. And I don't want to mess up this. Maybe you can see that more. Okay, so now we're going to get some paint. So I have some red, I have some white, I have some yellow, and I have some black paint. Also, what I'm going to put in here is some green paint. So the green paint, what I was told is that the medicine wheel not only talks about the 4 directions, the 4 animals, the 4 peoples, well, not the 4 peoples because there's more than 4 peoples in the world, but what it talks about is all the people in all the directions of the world. And in the center of that world, we put, in the center of the medicine wheel is we put the green, because what the medicine wheel talks about is the earth. Who is our earth? What did I say in our land acknowledgement? I gave thanks to the earth that I'm on. Yunkinola ohunjade means our mother, the earth. Without her, we wouldn't be here. The foods, the air, you know, the protection from the clouds, all of that stuff, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our mother, the earth. And so how we honor her in our medicine wheel is that we put the green. So this is a new teaching that I'm currently learning about. It's been about 4 years now, 5 years since I've really been learning about the center of the medicine wheel and giving thanks to our mother, the earth. And so I'm going to be incorporating this. Okay. So I have a bunch of paintbrushes here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start painting. Yeah, I was just asked if I could answer some questions. Throw me some questions. I'll answer them.
What do the colors of the medicine wheel signify or mean, and what does the blue color signify in your other medicine wheel?
It's a good question. So what I was told, the red represents the west direction. It represents the color of the thunderbird. It represents the buffalo as well. It represents a very specific, powerful ceremony that some Indigenous peoples participate in called a sun dance. You know, what I was told about it is that it represents the Indigenous people of the world. That's the color, because there was a time where in my people's creation story, it says that our different races of people come from different parts of the earth, but more specifically different materials from the earth. And so I was told that the Indigenous people, that we have the responsibility of taking care of the earth. And how our color, or how the red came, is that under our sacred fires, under the sweat lodge, when we have a sweat lodge ceremony, we build a fire outside of it to heat up some grandfathers and some nokomises and kokums. So we heat those stones up, and it says that what happens is when that fire dies down and we move all the coals and everything aside and we dig just a few inches under that sand, that the dirt is red. And it said in my creation story that that's where our people come from, is that beautiful red dirt, sand, earth from under our sacred fire of our ceremony. So that was a good question. Thank you. Yep.
Next question is from an anonymous participant. My partner and I are learning and reconnecting to our culture.
Mm-hmm.
He said that there are different teachings depending on where it's passed down from. Is it okay for us to use this teaching if we're from another people?
That's another good question. So, National Indigenous People Day, it's not a day that I personally celebrate. You know, I'll be honest with you, I don't celebrate it because I don't identify as being Canadian. You know, this is a hard thing that needs to be spoken about, is that the way that Indigenous people have been treated in Canada and in the United States hasn't been very nice. And so what has happened is a lot of our ceremonies and a lot of the things that I'm sharing with you and other people across Canada today are sharing with Canada, you know, these are things that we weren't even allowed to show at one time, even to use. You know, we weren't even allowed to participate in our ceremonies. So the one thing that I want to share to you is ask permission from the people who gave you that. You always ask where that teaching comes from. You know, it's always important to ask that. I can't tell you yes and I can't tell you no because I don't know where you got your teachings from. You know, our teachings are different. And it's always important to be respectful. You know, just like the land acknowledgement where I said, you know, I'm a visitor, and some of the places in BC here, I'm a guest, you know. Some places I'm a visitor, you know. Some places I was invited to be here. You know, that's another thing too, is where you're at, where you live. Ask yourself, whose territory am I in? You know, that's something that's important for you to ask, you know. So I guess to answer your question is to ask permission, you know. Make sure that you're not appropriating it, you know. If people are making money off of it, you know, and it's not their traditional way, you know, give a portion of your money to the person who taught you those things, you know, give back to the people, you know. That's a good way to create allies. You know, that's what we're asking for, is allies. You know, use your gift, you know, and give back to the people. Speak up for us as well, you know. I hope that answered your question. I know I kind of went off a little bit there, but it was really important, you know. So that's a good question, though. Thank you.
More questions coming into the chat. Is there a significance to the position of the colors, white at the top versus another color? Or if the wheels turn, so 2 colors at the top and 2 colors at the bottom?
So the way that it was told to me is that each color represents a people, it represents a direction. So the reason why I put the medicine wheel like this is that it's easier for me to visually show the directions. So when we think of the direction north, we think of up. You know, when we think of the east, you know, we think of, you know, to the left. Well, yeah, to the left. And then to the south, it would be down, and then to the west, it would be to the right. So that's why I put the medicine wheel like that. And that's why I'm showing you the medicine wheel like this, is because this is another way. Depends on who is offering the teachings behind it. You know, I would say that's what would matter. So I would say yes and no. Yes and no. Crystal, did I answer that question fully there? There was a second part to it?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah. You have answered the question about the position. So
Awesome.
perfect.
Thank you. Good question.
Yeah. Welcome to add more questions to the chat and Q&A portion. There's another question here about what is your favorite way to balance yourself using the medicine wheel teachings philosophy?
What is the best way to balance myself?
Using the medicine wheel.
Okay, that's a great question. So, I'm only human. I have my days where I don't want to get up, I want to sleep in. I don't want to give thanks because I'm tired or I'm crabby. I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you know, or I'm sore from something I did the day before, you know. But what I do is whenever I wake up, I lay there, I take my breath and I open up my eyes and I say thank you. Even though I may be crabby or I may not, you know, want to get up that day, but I always give thanks. And then I check in with myself. I ask myself, how am I doing mentally today? You know, how am I doing physically today? So I check in with my body. I wiggle my fingers, you know, I wiggle my toes, you know, I flex my legs, you know, and I get up and I stretch. And then I ask myself, and I check in with myself spiritually, you know, that's why I smudge, you know, that's why I use these medicines, you know, or I go to the water. I put my ayungwaune in Oneganos. I said ayungwaune means tobacco in my language, and Oneganos means the water. So I put my tobacco in the water, or I'll go jump in the cold water, you know, and then I'll do my best to release that stuff. And so that's how I use the medicine wheel, is in my house. I have one, actually it's this one that's hanging up all the time. And whenever I walk out of my room, I always look at it, and that's a good opportunity for me to recheck in with myself. So it's a reminder about your mind, your body, your spirit, and your emotions. You know, how am I doing emotionally? You know, so that's how I use it. So say if physically I'm tired, you know, what I'll do is I'll eat some nice food, some good food that'll give me some energy, and I'll go for a walk. I'll try and go for a walk. It's too hot, you know. Sometimes I think I'm a lion. I like to just sleep through it. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, that's how I check in with myself. I believe I answered that correctly, or to the full extent.
So we're just wrapping up with a few more questions here.
Okay.
This question is about what you have beside you. Could you tell us a little bit more about the bison skull?
Okay. So I'm glad that that question was asked because it relates to this one as well. So this question, or this buffalo skull, it's part of a ceremony of mine. It's part of a ceremony of mine. So my Sundance name, or one of my traditional names, is Tatanka Shante Wishasha, which means Buffalo Heart Man. And I was given that name my first year of Sundance. You know, I just went to the Sundance grounds just to help out. This was back in Ontario, and I just went there to help out and, you know, get a feeling for it, how I could support the people who were dancing and you know, praying for me. And so I ended up participating in that ceremony, you know, totally by accident. And that's how I got my name. So my portion of that ceremony is using the bison skulls. This skull specifically I had created for my nonprofit organization called Buffalo Heart Medicine Healing Society. And the purpose of the nonprofit society is to heal through creativity, because I believe that's the one thing that connects all of us. There are many things that connect us, but one of the things that I rarely hear and have never actually really heard in my life is that it's our creativity that connects us, because it's the one thing that everyone in this world has is creativity. Whatever you can think of, you can create, And so that's the purpose of the nonprofit organization that is Buffalo Heart Medicine Healing Society. It represents that. And these are the colors, because I use the medicine wheel. I use arts and craft and creativity to bring people together, sensitivity training, bringing people together to better understand some indigenous cultures and ceremonies. It's not a place where I do ceremonies for people, it's a place where I talk about it and speak about the importance of it. The organization was created to protect indigenous people from discrimination, from racism, from genocide. That's why I have the 215 on there. There's more children that are found on the grounds of residential school, but I have that on there because that was a big turning point for a lot of people in Canada here, where it was there was a lot of people that just became aware of the atrocities at residential school, So that's what that represents. It represents my nonprofit organization. It represents the coming together of people, because as far as I'm concerned, we're all related, we're all family. We just look a little different, And I'm here to bring the peace and the joy that I can through the arts and the crafts and creativity, the way that it makes me feel. I want to share that with you, because I believe in making our world a better place, and I believe that arts and crafts can do that, So that was a good question.
Thanks so much. Final question here. Who is your favorite Indigenous role model?
That's an easy one. It's my father, my Onyota'aka. It's my dad. It was a good question. I didn't expect to cry on that one. You got me. Why my father is my inspiration and my role model is because I was adopted. And he's the one who taught me about the medicine wheel. He's the one who taught me about the things that I'm sharing with you. The little things that I'm sharing with you now is what he had shared with me. So that's who my Indigenous role model is. I can say that right off the bat. But I want to say that it was a great question. I want to say that I love everyone. I love everyone who's here. And I wanted to say that without you, I wouldn't have the opportunity that I have here today, because in a way, you are opening yourselves up to learning just a little bit about the medicine wheel, just learning a little bit about it, getting a little bit of understanding of what it means, the importance of it. So the white represents the European people. In my culture, it says that your people were created by the beautiful ocean foam that gathers on the shore of the beach. The Indigenous people were created by the beautiful red sand or earth under a sacred fire. The yellow is for the Asian people and the people in the East and yous were created by the beautiful, strong young saplings of a tree, the carved bark. That's what it says. When you take the hard bark off underneath it, it's yellow and it's fresh. That's what it represents. And the black represents our family members and my family members from the continent of Africa, in the south there. That's what it represents. And it says that you're created by that beautiful black mud. It's a medicine. In some places you put that mud on your skin and it rejuvenates you, I really love this direction. Why? Because it talks about your responsibility of being magic keepers and keepers of medicine, And so I really like all the directions. I like all of them, but I like the stories behind this one more. I only have a couple minutes left, so I wanted to start wrapping up. I wanted to say thank you to all of you. This is the medicine wheel. How simple it is. Oh, I didn't put the green in it. Oh, let's do that. We gotta honor Mother Earth. Oh, sorry. Let's do that quickly. Bum, 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 the pressure. You know what? I'm gonna use my finger. The cool thing about creativity is there's no right or wrong way to do it. So I'm gonna put that there to represent our Mother, the Earth. Yunkinola ohunjade, ne yunkinola, ezagonalunkwa, yunkinola ohunjade. Daneto nyontahage ongwat negula. So, that's a medicine wheel for you folks. I just wanted to say that I appreciate all of you, and I thank everyone, who took the time today, to participate and to watch. Keep track, listen. Listen to other people that are presenting themselves today. Also, this was all part of the showcasing events that's coming up through the Arts Council of New Westminster. The title for this series is Expressions of Reclamation. So Expressions of Reclamation will be showcasing 5 Indigenous emerging artists from across Canada. So I want you to look forward to seeing what our elder Christy David, she's coming up. She's great. You're going to enjoy. I'm excited. It's going to be really fun. Then we're going to have Cameron Peel, another amazing individual. I'm really excited for Cameron. Every artist is amazing. And then we have Kaya Heitlin. I'm sorry, Kaya. I'm sorry, Heitlin. I really like Kaya because she's creating materials that I personally use in my own work. And I didn't know that I actually have some of Kaya's stuff. We have Mitchell Saddleback that's coming in. I'm really excited for Mitchell to come in as well. Glorious, fantastic individual. And then we have Fonda Bullshield. So Fonda Bullshield, I individually spoke to all the artists, and I knew right off the bat that they were individuals that I wanted to showcase and have on here, but they were also individuals that took the effort and the time and got back and responded and said, yeah, I'm interested in this. I'm interested in participating. So I really am excited for all of them to be showcased. So pay attention. The schedule and their times are going to be posted in the promos coming up on our website, Arts Council of New Westminster. Also through my own personal Facebook pages as well for who's ever connected with me. You can get that information, and it will be advertised all over the place. This is a medicine wheel. Reclamation, expressions of reclamation. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Daneto.